Thanks, Nancy. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to share my video for a minute so you can see me, but I will be turning it off while I present. So again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for letting me join you all today. I'm Anna Verrill, as mentioned, the Senior GIS Analyst and a Project Manager with CGIA, the Center for Geographic Information and Analysis. I have been the Project Manager for the Seamless Parcels Project since August 2019. So today I'd like to share some history and background on North Carolina's Seamless Parcels Initiative. I'll also share some information regarding data provisioning and publishing, as well as how the data can be accessed. And throughout the presentation, I do plan on showing the different tools I mentioned. I'll share the ETL tool we use to transform the local data into the statewide product, as well as where the data is found in NC1 map. And as mentioned, I do plan on saving the last few minutes for a bit of questions from y'all. Here is a timeline of parcels within the state of North Carolina, including where we are at today with the statewide product. North Carolina's Land Records Management Program has assisted in modernizing land records since the 1970s to pave the way for the current status, all 100 counties having digital parcel boundaries and property attributes. Prior to 2015, a statewide parcels data set for North Carolina did not exist. The Geographic Information Coordinating Council created an initiative for the development of a statewide parcels data set. A working group was created in 2008 to help guide this work. And in 2009, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians became a project partner as they have land in 5 counties. The initiative got tremendous boost with a grant from the US EPA's Exchange Network in 2009. A subset of the working group was formed, a project team in 2012. They met weekly and worked for nearly 2 years to complete that grant. And they released a working solution for 1/4 of the state in 2014. Members of that project team included CGIA, the Land Records Management Program, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, Henderson County, ACOG, NCDOT, and North Carolina's Department of Environmental Quality, along with a contracting team that included the Carbon Project and Nancy von Meyer. As part of this initiative and with the grant funding, the state of North Carolina developed an online ETL tool for integrating parcel boundaries from county sources in a statewide product called the NC Parcels Transformer. In 2015, we accomplished full participation in the initiative and had North Carolina's first statewide seamless parcels layer. Support for the operation and maintenance from 2016 to 2019 came from NCDOT and NC Department of Agriculture. And continuing operations in 2020 have been provided by NCDIT. In-kind support has been given by the Lands Records Management and the Working Group for Seamless Parcels. And this statewide resource informs decisions in many areas such as economic development, emergency management, transportation planning, land development, utility management, public health, and forestry. This graphic shows the general workflow for parcels to contribute to the statewide product. The local government GIS office creates and maintains the parcel data. They retain the ownership. Parcels data is uploaded into the NC Parcels Transformer. The Parcels Transformer translates the local data, the fields and the geometry into the statewide standard for all 100 counties and the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. CGIA harvests that transformed data and publishes it in NC1 map. So digging into a bit of the details, again, as mentioned, and just to reiterate the provisioning and publishing process, the local data steward maintains the data and provides the data into the transform. The transformer translates the county data into a statewide standard and reports any translation errors. And CGIA checks the data in these initial transform files for those errors and coordinates with the county data steward as and when needed. And we publish the data once the transforms are clear of all errors. The transformer then creates the final individual county data in the statewide standard and publishes the data into both a zipped shapefile download and a web feature service. Then CGIA has a script that runs on a weekly basis to grab this final data set, create the county downloads, create the statewide download, and extracts the data from the web feature service and publishes these into the NC1 map, web map service, and web feature service. There are 3 options for a county to provision data into the Parcels Transformer. We encourage direct uploads by the county, and this requires obtaining and maintaining an NCID. Approximately 39% of the counties choose this option. There is also the option to upload an updated zip shapefile of the data to the Secretary of State FTP site. 31 counties choose this option. And we can also sometimes obtain updates through direct data downloads from the county's website or open data sites. And this is how we acquire the data for the other 30%. We do verify the date of the data for those that we download. If there is no date with the file or inside the metadata, we check these against what is currently published in NC1 map to determine if the data is newer than the last update. These are the checks that occur at the statewide level, again, either by the transformer or CGIA. The transformer reports any translation errors that fall out from the ETL process, whether fields are not mapping, attributes not being found in certain lookup tables, or if there's any linear ring geometry errors. And CGA looks into these further. We check to see if the original data was provided in North Carolina State Plain. We also check the original file against the transform file to see if the features number match. Sometimes when there's a discrepancy there, it's because of those geometry issues being reported. More often than not, those geometry issues are actually empty geometry found in the original file. And when there are field errors, we also look at the original data that was uploaded to determine if those fields do actually still exist in the data and are just called a different field. And that way we can remap the field mapping for the county. Again, most of the time there actually are no errors found, and once CGIA verifies this, we publish the data. So access to the seamless statewide data set can be found within NC1 map. The data are provided in several formats, which I'll show in a few minutes. These are web map service, web feature service, zipped shapefile downloads, and there is also a web application for online lookup and display. And on NC1 map, you can also find the metadata and parcel standards documentation. The data is archived on a biannual schedule in line with NC1 map's archival policy. So I'm just going to escape out of my presentation now and share what the Parcels Transformer looks like, as well as where you can access the data on NC1 map. Can you all see my Carbon Cloud browser window?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is where, this is the Parcels Transformer. And if you are a new user or you have an NCID and you're now in charge of parcels, so you want access to the system, you would come and register your NCID with the system here. Once you fill out this registration form, I will actually get an email and I can log in with my NCID. And because I have more of an admin access, I can see all the users in the system and I can provide access into the system here. Once you have access to the system, you'll probably only see a couple of these. You most likely won't see the users option here. Within the groups section inside the parcels, you can find your county that you'd be working with. And of course, I can see all the counties that are in the system. And I'll dig into these a little more in a second. There's also the option to look at all the fields that come from the statewide data set, as well as the lookup tables that are used in some of the crosswalks. So I'm just going to share a little bit more info here on one of the counties. And once you click on a county, you can then see all their fields that they'll be using to map to the statewide standard. You can also see all the jobs that they've processed in the system. So if you click on this Manage button, you'll actually see all the listing of the statewide fields here on the left. And all the check marks on the right are what are actually mapped to the local data. I just want to share some of the different ways you can populate these fields. Some of them are actually automatically populated for a county, like the county FIPS code. It uses a FIPS code lookup table for ASH, and it populates that for every feature in their data set. So that's not a field they actually have to maintain in their local data. And then some are direct field-to-field mapping. So this GPIN field in the local data is mapped to the Alt-Parno field in the statewide standard. You can also concatenate many fields together. So to create their mailing address field, they have 3 address fields that they've added together to create that. Some fields are also calculated through like if-then statements, and from fields that have already been transformed. So if you look at this improve value field, you can see that this is a concatenated field as well to create this improve value from these 2 fields in the original file. And if you look at the multi-structure field here, you can see that it takes that transformed field, performs an if-then statement with these parameters, and says if it's true or false, populate it with either one of these constants, and that gets populated into that field in the statewide standard. So there's lots of other options for counties to populate these. I won't dig into every one, but I just wanted to share a few of those. And then when a county comes in here to transform their data, they can test their transform. So they can select some files. These should be shape files, and it will run real quick. And I'll actually share one that I performed earlier. So if I go back to the counties, Durham County is one that we download from their open data site, and it's updated there on a regular basis. So earlier today, I went and downloaded their data, and I did actually have to project it because it was published from their open data site in WGS 84. So I put it back in North Carolina State Plain here. And when you test, it's really quick. It only does the first 100. You can see the original fields here that came across into the transformed fields. So I can look through these to just see if anything happened. And then it also reports out any errors. So I kind of just click through these, the first 10 and the last 10, to see if anything's come up. And if everything looks good, then you come back to the main county page, click transform, and then you select those files once again. Once you hit submit, there will be a little pop-up that comes up with some progress bars about how it's doing. And then once the transform is complete, you can find that information back on the jobs page. And you can see earlier today, I transformed Durham. So to look at this more fully, this is the details page for that transform. So what CGIA does is download the zip, and we look at the feature count between the original and the transform file. And if everything looks good, we'll click publish here. And if there are errors, I did want to show what that looks like. So if I were to have downloaded that Durham's _ parcels, If there were errors, it'd be in an error text file here. Sometimes those are due to, again, attributes not being found in some of the lookup tables. So this happened earlier this week, and I worked with this county to work through those, added the new values to the lookup tables. So sometimes it can be field errors, and if it's a bad field for every feature, it will list it all throughout. And then there's other minor errors, like the values are too long for this field, so it truncates to the length of that what's allowed in the statewide standard. So coming back to my browser here, that's basically all I wanted to share with the transformer. And then in NC1 map, just want to share how you can access the data. So this is the home page for NC1 map, and there are a lot of points of access to get to the parcels data on NC1 map, and I'm going to show a few that I'm aware of, but there is a pretty good chance that there's other ways to access the data as well. So directly on this home page, if you scroll down to featured web apps, in this property card, you can view the data in that web application that I had mentioned earlier. So this helps you view the data. You can click on things, you can add different layers from like your own online accounts and search for things. Pretty good tool here. And then you can also view the data here and get to the data downloads here. So this is like the data page listing for various boundaries. For the parcel polygons, you would want the second listing here. And on this page, I'm sure everybody's aware of and seen these pages before from ArcGIS Online, but this is where you can download a shapefile, KML, or spreadsheet of the data. You can get to the REST services here under APIs, the web map service, the web feature service, URLs. And you can also view the metadata, which opens a new window with all the detailed metadata. It's pretty good, thoroughly filled out. So back on the home page, that was all just within this card here. You can also do direct data downloads right here. So for parcels, you can select all counties, and that would give you the statewide seamless data set, or you could select any individual county that you might be interested in. And within these themes below, you can also get to the parcels data by clicking on land ownership. And this brings up one of those same data listing pages, and you can see the parcel polygons here. Now we also do have a Parcels Project page. So if you click on data projects from the home page and click on parcels, you will also be brought to this page where you can get to, gives you some background information, but you can also get to a full data download here of the statewide product. And you can actually use this map, click on any county of interest, and it will tell you the last time the data was updated, and you can download their individual data set here. And finally, the last thing I wanted to share was the documentation on the schema. So these two links will provide you more information on the schema, the statewide schema standard, and the definitions for all the different fields. And this is a fuller document of that same information. So coming back to the presentation, I'll just wrap things up here. So in terms of parcels participation, since 2016, there have been biannual updates occurring every spring and fall. But starting earlier this year, Q1 2020, we've encouraged quarterly updates to the statewide data set. And since these quarterly updates have begun back in January, 98 counties have provided updates throughout the year, which is fantastic. 43 counties provide updates every quarter, so that's almost half. It's great. So consistency in populating standard fields in the statewide dataset continues to be an ongoing challenge. Several fields are lacking information and data coming through, either because the fields do not exist within the county data or there is no information being populated in those local fields. Some of these fields could be site addresses, parcel use descriptions, present use value, last sale date, structure year. So the working group for seamless parcels has begun to meet again and discuss this topic. The goals of the working group on this schema compliance topic are trying to determine how best we can outreach to encourage fuller schema compliance, determining if we can encourage some fields to be highly recommended or required so that there is some sort of guarantee that attribute information for every county will be found in certain fields. So we plan on surveying the local data stewards to understand how easy or hard it is to maintain the various information in the statewide fields. What is the maintenance burden? We will also be involving CAMA vendors to determine if they can help make this easier for the counties to maintain as well. The working group plans on running any of these recommendations that we come up with by the Department of Revenue, the Association of County Commissioners, and the Assessors Association, as well as the Statewide Mapping Advisory Committee within the GICC. So if anyone listening is a local data steward for parcels and you may hear more about this topic later this year or early in 2021. So as I wrap things up today, I wanted to share a few things that county data stewards can continue to do to help with the Seamless Parcels initiative. Check and repair your geometry prior to uploading the data. Provide complete information in the attribute table to assist with the consistent attribution of the statewide schema. Be mindful of any schema changes. Request an NCID and perform the data transforms directly. And provide updates on a quarterly basis when possible. So before I open it up for questions, I want to thank all those who continue to make the Seamless Parcels initiative successful. Thank you. Do we have any questions? I do want to mention that I do have documentations on the parcels transformer, how to request an NCID, a little quick guide to the transformer itself, and more details as well about how to manage that field mapping that I showed. So if anybody's interested in receiving that documentation, you can totally email me and I'll get that documentation out to you.
We have one question. What kind of geometry errors does the transformer look for?
So the ones
Amanda Patton.
Yeah, the ones that it reports are linear ring geometry errors, and it says that it needs 4 points to create that parcel. So I think it sometimes fails when parcels only have 3 vertices. And also it doesn't report when that geometry is empty, but it leaves those parcels out when it transforms. It just drops them off.
So basically triangular parcels, you need to add an extra vertex?
Somewhere, yep.
We do have some of those. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I can't bring up the chat, so if you guys can walk me through if anybody's commented anything or chatted anything, that'd be great.
Well, I did. Jeff Boone said thank you, Anna.
Thanks, Jeff.
I was just curious. Mecklenburg County has parcel fabric, but we also serve up parcels on our open mapping site. I'm curious how you get it from us because I'm not part of that team. Is that something that they send you a shapefile twice a year, or do you actually download it from our open mapping?
We do actually download it from your open mapping just because your county is the biggest county and has the most parcels, and it's a pretty large file.
Yeah.
So even asking them to transfer it through the FTP could take them some time when they're already publishing it on their website. So we just grab it from there.
Okay.
Alex Lee has a, oh, go ahead, Nancy, sorry.
No, I was going to read the same thing.
Alex Lee has a, do you keep the parcel history?
Yes, so we do keep the parcel history internally, but we also, as mentioned, NC1 Map archives what they publish every twice a year, every 6 months. So that is sent to state archives, and information could always be requested from there if you want something from years ago. Well, basically from 2015 when the project started.
You do have another question from Amanda Patton. Does it check the parcels between different counties to make sure they fit together properly, like parcels on the borders?
It does not. So other than repairing geometry, we do not do edge matching or anything like that. We take the county data as it is given to us.
Otherwise, I can imagine the nightmare that would be.
Yeah, we don't want to edit anything that the county, because parcels are so official, we don't want to edit any of that geometry.
Yeah. Any other questions? You can either type it in the chat box, or if you want to unmute and ask a question, feel free. We've got a couple more minutes. All right. Well, we'll break just a couple minutes early. We first want to thank Anna. That was a really interesting presentation, and I've got to go check out that site and see what that looks like. So I'm really interested in seeing what that looks like on NC1 Map. So thank you for bringing that to us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.